Hey guys, everyone's day is going well. Today I've got a really awesome review on a super sweet yo-yo. This right here is the Unity Yo-Yo's Affinity. This is a brand new yo-yo from a brand new yo-yo company, and I'm super excited to talk about it since this yo-yo is sweet. Without any further ado, let's jump right in. Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Unity Yo-Yos for actually sending me this right here yo-yo. They reached out to me a little while ago and asked if I wanted to do a review on their newest yo-yo. Of course I said yes, and so here we are reviewing the Affinity. All of their links and contact information will be in the description down below, and also there will be a link in the description to purchase this here yo-yo. Now I've got a little background here on Unity Yo-Yos themselves, and then also the Affinity and how it got its name. So this company, Unity Yo-Yos, is actually owned by Grant Wright. So Grant has set up a lot of yo-yo meetups in Oregon actually, and he kind of wanted to create a company that brings yo-yoers together. He touched on the fact that it only takes two halves of a yo-yo to make it kind of unified, so that's where it got its name. Now the Affinity here is Unity Yo-Yo's very first release, and in my opinion, it's a hit. The goal of this yo-yo is just to kind of have something that feels nice in the hand, is floaty, but can definitely perform your tricks. When Grant was first producing this yo-yo and had that first prototype, he actually really loved it, and it was kind of more amazing than he ever could have expected. And so his love for this yo-yo kind of made it the name, the Affinity. But let's talk a little bit more about the Affinity. First things first, I'm going to show the specs of this yo-yo so you can kind of get a baseline idea as to what it's about. So let's talk a little bit about this yo-yo's specs, and then we can jump into the design. So in terms of specs, everything is pretty middle of the road. The diameter coming in at 55 millimeters, I guess you could say and argue that is a little bit on the undersized, but for the most part, it's pretty standard. Width coming in at 46 millimeters is pretty standard, and the weight of 64 grams is also pretty standard. This yo-yo goes for $70, which in my opinion is a little bit expensive for a mono-metal, but this is definitely a high quality yo-yo. Now let's take a look at this design. I'm really pleased with the design of this yo-yo in general. So looking at the shape, first off, the shape is a very nice kind of flared out H shape. They got a little bit of curvature right there on the rims, as you can see, so it feels like it would be organic. However, it's got a nice concave slope down to the center of the bearing. We can see that there's that nice little ridge there that honestly reminds me a lot of kind of like those old CLYW and One Drop yo-yos. I'll include some pictures on the screen right there, but it's kind of funny. I love that little nice ridge between the concave bulging out rim and then the convex slope down to the bearing. This is a very comfortable shape to hold in the hand, just as Grant mentioned. When it comes back to your hand after a bind, it really feels nice and doesn't sting or anything like that when it hits your hand. In general, I'm a huge fan of the shape. It's nice and wide, has a great catch zone. It also has those kind of low walls to make it still competition oriented. Moving on over to the cup, everything is pretty simple here. Got a completely flat center of the yo-yo. However, there's a couple ridges in here and there that lead down to that center. In general, I'd say this is a pretty good looking yo-yo. It's nice and simplistic. It's got some pretty elegant cuts and things here and there, but it's not too flashy. It's kind of more minimalist. So I'm sure you guys are all wondering, how does the Affinity play? The Affinity, in my opinion, is a very solid yo-yo. One of my first impressions with this yo was that it is definitely a very floaty yo-yo, just as Grant described. So when you throw this yo down, it feels nice and gentle. It doesn't hit the end of the string like a brick. It doesn't hit with a large thud. It feels nice and gentle as it kind of climbs down the string. When you're moving it around through tricks, it feels graceful. It feels very kind of easy to change direction. And I wouldn't say this is a light yo-yo. However, it's definitely floaty in that it feels lighter than its actual numerical weight. This yo definitely has a good amount of stability to it. I think that there's a good amount of rim weight that keeps this yo on track. It can definitely power through some of my more advanced tricks and had a good amount of spin time left. I wouldn't say this yo is like as extreme and stable as the SF Cadence, which is a really very stable mono-metal yo-yo from a couple years back. This was definitely still a stable yo-yo that was able to hit a majority of my tricks. The speed of this yo is excellent. I found it very easy to crank this up to some fast speeds and then slow it down. I think that kind of further emphasized that floaty feel that it has on the string. The wide gap also makes it perfect for whips and slacks and all those different types of hop tricks that you want a wider, kind of more catchable gap for, so super easy there. Binds with this yo are very good in my opinion. I'm not sure what response pads and response system they have, but the gap width in my opinion is perfect. I was able to hit some pretty complex binds here and there. Initially it was a little bit grabby, but I'm kind of still working in those response pads, so that's understandable. But I was super impressed in general with the response system, getting some nice consistent regens as you can see there, and so definitely very happy with how they designed that. I also want to point out that this yo actually sounds amazing. It's got a nice little ring to it when you're playing with it. It just makes it so much more fun. I'll include some kind of yo ASMR right here. I actually found horizontal with this yo-yo to be pretty solid, and I think it's because of the fact that with the shape, it has that concave slope down to the bearing, which reduces the friction between the string and the yo-yo on those walls. So when you're playing horizontally, I found it to spin for longer than I actually expected, given its more floaty type of play. Grinds with this yo-yo are excellent. It's got a very smooth matte finish, so finger grinds are amazing. Palm, talon grinds, they can all be done. As for finger spins, you are going to kind of rotate around that flat center for the majority of the finger spin. However, they're still pretty solid and you can do them for a nice and long time. Okay, so in conclusion, the Affinity is definitely a super solid yo-yo. It's a little bit more pricey, but this definitely does feel like a premium yo-yo. So if you're willing to spend that much money, I think this is an excellent choice.
If you have the means, I highly recommend picking one up.
It's definitely more on the floaty side, so if you're looking for more of a heavy yo-yo, this is not the one. But if you want something that's going to kind of dance along the string and feel very pleasant to play with, this is a great option for you. I also do want to point out that this yo-yo is a good performer. It can definitely hit the majority of your extreme tricks. In my opinion, this is definitely a very solid feeling yo-yo, and it spins for a nice long time. Thank you again to Unity Yo-Yos and Grant for sending this yo-yo on over. I'm super excited to see what they produce next, because this first yo-yo right here is a hit. Alright, thank you guys all so much for watching my review of the Unity Yo-Yos Affinity. If you guys did enjoy, be sure to leave a like. Also, if you guys are new here and haven't seen my videos before, hit that subscribe button so you can see whenever I post a new video. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.